This episode is so raw, I have actually goosebumps. Ned Phillip should rise from the ashes and fight again for B2B WealthTech.
If there was an Olympic Games for building WealthTech, we would win. Please assume you know nothing about WealthTech. Whatever price I ask, can you pay me double?
Banking person, and they jokingly said it takes 18 months for a POC to go through. 18 months for a firm that is looking to raise another round is a death trap.
If you offer a free POC, shame on you.
Startup CEO are going to tell MD of digital wealth on what he needs to do.
Yes.
How is that going to work, Ned?
You have to have a massive mindset shift.
You will die many times over. Let's give them some breathing space. You will be torn apart rather than this inertia letting you go. Is B2B FinTech or WealthTech not the right fit, at least in their initial journey, for investor money?
You have to find a scrappy way to survive. Only the first 20 years were brutal. You very kindly said that Bamboo didn't fail it.
VCs are an easy target.
If the startups don't survive, you're going to become more legacy every day.
Ooh.
No joke.
Now we are going to go in and we are going to explore from different angles. What should customers be doing differently? What should investors be doing differently? And what can the ecosystem and regulators, etc., come in and do? But we are hoping that it starts a much needed conversation into how you are going to enable this. How you're going to bring more challengers into B2B wealth. In a lot of this, we were talking about customers going ahead and telling you what to build and all of this. Going back, Ned of 2025 can go back to what? Ned, to a discussion with a customer of 2016. What are you going to tell the customer with no repercussion whatsoever? How do they need to look at this fintech differently?
And just to be clear, I'm not the customer. What could I say to a customer with no repercussions, just truly what I believed would make sense? Okay. I used to have this phrase. Of course, I'm biased. I love Bamboo. I was like, if there was an Olympic Games for building WealthTech, we would win. Why? Because it's all we do all day long. Nothing against the person at the client. So what I would tell them is, please assume you know nothing about WealthTech. Not because we know everything, but this is all we do. So we're not trying to tell you we're clever or smarter, but you have a million other jobs, right? You're in wealth. I get that. But in 2016, how many digital wealth specialists worked at banks or finance institutions? Almost none, right?
No.
They were wealth specialists or digital specialists, but how many people at an institution had literally built a digital wealth multi-tech platform? None. So, number one, I would say, let's say you were the client. Laksh, I appreciate it. You're head of wealth at this huge bank, you want digital transformation. Can we just start from the basis that you know nothing? It's kind of hard to say, right? Secondly, whatever price I ask, can you pay me double? Because I'm a little startup and I'm just trying to make a living here. And if you squash me down, I'm going to find it very hard to deliver something that's worthwhile for you. Another thing I would say is never do a POC.
We're going to get into that now.
If you don't believe this is your everything, please don't do it. Because if you're not fully committed and I'm not, WealthTech itself is so new and so hard that if this is not your everything, don't do it with us.
Yeah.
But if you can pay us that we de-risk, if you can accept you don't know WealthTech, you know your bank and you can guide me in there. And if you can accept that this is your everything, let's go. Otherwise, don't do it. It'll fail.
Yeah. Great answer. And guys, if you are an entrepreneur, try to have this conversation. If you are in a bank, please have this conversation with yourself. POCs, I'm not a big fan. I was sitting with this banking person and they jokingly said, it takes 18 months for a POC to go through.
Sure.
I'm not kidding. My food dropped out of my mouth.
That's true.
Quite literally.
Sure.
18 months for a firm that is looking to raise another round is a death trap.
100%.
So I said, why? And they're like, we have burned our hands so much. Obviously, that is also true. We don't know if this firm will survive. We need to protect everything. We need to keep the code in escrow. And then, we go through this whole cycle and implementation, etc. So basically, in that time, the WealthTech, B2B FinTech is working for low or no money.
Correct.
I'm like, okay, I understand. You're obviously trying to protect the bank you work for. Great. Ned, that is a valid premise that you have to protect the bank. This guy is hiring. Let's just assume that is a valid premise, right? What you are the FinTech, which is also as a valid premise. You are customizing a product for them. You're burning through all this money. Your investor is asking you to raise all this, money and get all this recurring revenue, not transact. What is the middle path? Both of these paths, if you look at this is where this gets very interesting. If I look at it from this banking process perspective,
they have a valid point.
So do you.
So do I.
What is the middle path?
I'll tell it to you.
Exactly. That is what we need. Middle path.
To you. Okay. I even tried to build it with a bank. I'm not going to say the bank's name. I'm going to say the gentleman's name. The name is Drew Graham. Drew, if you're watching this, brother, what we try to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Everyone's heard of an RFP. Painful, long process. Everyone's heard of a POC. A painful, long process. We tried to build an RFS, a request for startup. It is a simplified piece of paper that says, within 1 month, we are going to select a startup. And in 1 month, we're going to deliver something. If at any point in time we exceed these time bounds, we stop. The request for startup accepted that minimal damage can be done in a month.
Yeah.
And RFS accepted the fact we don't have to pay you much, right? Because it's a small little thing. And we believed that this POC for 18 months, I take a deep breath in, I take a deep breath out to calm myself down. That is damaging to everybody.
Yep, I agree.
POCs don't work anyway. You know why? Because no one's fully invested. What is the middle path? Is this acceptance? And I think it's happening that a WealthTech has something and we don't know if it fits. So why are we spending 18 months trying to jam something in? Well, we don't know if it fits. Let's get in, let's get out. Let's get in, let's get out. And I'll tell the bank how to decide. So an RFS is a simplified document. Are you a startup? Are you real? Do you have a product? How does it fit into us? We can't give you our data. There's certain hurdles you have to pass. Fantastic. And in 1 month, what can we deliver? Okay, let's keep it very, very simple to be able to do that. And what you say, if after 1 month, we have a simple, basic KPI, just one, we have to do X. If we do not hit it on the 30th day or 31st day, depending on what month, we literally stop. We don't ask any questions. We stop. If we hit it in month 2, we just double that KPI. And you know what? If we hit it in month 2, let's go to month 3. And the tag that we get is after 3 months of doubling, it triggers a full contract. You do that, so much less time is wasted. The discussion, WealthTech is new and it's hard. Sitting going backwards and forwards about WealthTech products, WealthTech features, it's too long. And a bank, what's it really protecting? Like a little startup? Really? Like I know that it's valid. Oh, we have to protect. Startup's not there to hurt, it's there to help. And it's putting every piece of its soul into it. And you should pay the same for an 18-month POC as a 1-month POC. Get in, get out. And the last part I would say is, we're all part, there's no vendor, there's no client. Let's get rid of these words. Vendor, client, we pay, you pay. Hey guys, we all want to make this work. Let's get in a room, crack our heads together.
Yep.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We, the startup, can tell you, the bank, hey, you're late with this delivery. I want it now.
Yep.
I want it now. Not just you telling us. It's a two-way street. And I think if we can get people to think like that, WealthTech has a chance because we'll iterate super quickly. But the 18-month thing, the POC thing, the free POC, if you're listening to this, I'll look at the camera for a second and you offer a free POC.
That is the camera.
If you offer a free POC, shame on you. You know it doesn't work. You're killing the startup. You're killing yourself. And the 50K, the 100K, come on, guys, just give it to them.
Yeah. And you're harming the ecosystem.
You are?
Yeah. Ned, I agree with that answer a lot more than I can express. Now, for it to truly work, let's say request for a startup.
Yep.
What do you call
RFS, request for
RFS.
startup.
The RFS. Great idea. It's not a POC. It is not a full contract request for a startup.
Yep.
You have done more digital transformations than I have. Large number of delays are driven because the bank is not ready. If, let's say, a bank was going on this path, RFS, and you could give them advice on how would they be ready, data, people, leadership, etc. Short answer, we'll go into this in part 2, but short answer, how should they get ready? How should they change their mindset? This is a mindset shift. How to go about this? Short answer first.
The startup leaves. If you don't deliver, the startup stops working.
So you, as a startup CEO, are going to tell MD of Digital Wealth
Yes.
on what he needs to do?
Yes.
How is that going to work, Ned?
Because if we want WealthTechs to work, the people with the most likelihood of making it work are the people who think about it 24/7. If you want somebody to run a bank, who would you hire? Bankers. Why would you get a startup person to run a bank? It doesn't work. We run a startup. We know what we're doing. If you don't deliver, we're out of here. If you have any questions, we're going to the next client. That's what would make it work.
North Star.
Are you asking me, could I say that in a meeting? That's difficult. I don't, but that is what works. Because if you don't, we have these timelines. So we're out of here. That's what I would say.
Yeah. No, I want you to say this because somebody should take a clip out of this and send it to their banking person and say,
100%.
listen to this guy.
Good.
He has done 21 plus transformations. He's telling you the same thing that we are saying. Because we are, today, B2B FinTech is a vendor.
Yeah.
A vendor going to a senior level person and saying you're not delivering this, this, and this requires the senior person to really be open-minded, really do a lot of things. I'm not saying they're not people like that, but it requires a lot more.
It's such a big shift. I heard a phrase the other day, H to H, human to human. Let's face it, right? Everything we do is human to human. Answer me this. Let's say we have a huge WealthTech 18-month POC for the paperwork and everything. I almost guarantee you, lock everybody in a room, and in 24 hours, the paperwork's signed. Nobody lives unless in 24 hours, we resolve every point. There's nothing really deeply complex in the approvals. You have to have a massive mindset shift. And this is not trying to cut corners. The reality is, if you break it down, it's a WealthTech contract. Let's read it and sign it. I don't like this phrase. Change it. Let's sit in a room. Like, we can do this. Like, let's lock ourselves in a room until we agree on everything. Are we ready to go? Yeah. See that 18 months? I know a day's quick, but in reality, we can do it. And you know why a bank should do it? Because they will win. They will have great technology. They will be ahead. Such an opportunity.
And I am telling you, every vendor would want to work with you. Because, going from a contract signing to revenue realization is such a long journey. If you don't have the financial muscle, you will die many times over in this.
Such a great point. Imagine you, Laksh, ran the biggest bank in the world and you made it so clear for startups.
Yeah.
Crystal. It's 1 month to get on board. It's 1 month to deliver. We'll pay you this much. If we miss the deadline, we're out. You miss the deadline, you're out. We're crystal clear. You would have a queue of the greatest startups at your door, and the other banks would be like, oh no, what's going on?
Yeah.
Laksh has done something that's unthinkable. Really?
Yeah.
You've just made it efficient. It's such a massive opportunity. If you want to be the greatest financial institution in WealthTech, speed of execution is your biggest opportunity.
So we have now a paradigm shift. We've talked to bankers. Let's give them some breathing space, because this is a lot to process. If any WealthTech is our biggest audience segment.
Sure,
so many people watch that because obviously we started and we do so much content in WealthTech. Now, let's go to the third part of this equation.
Sure.
Investors.
Yep.
rewinding our discussion. You are telling investors the revenue split that you have, and they're still asking you for recurring revenue. You are obviously talking about, what your revenue split is.
Of course.
They're seeing it.
Mhm.
I'm going to ask you a question which is going to be a little
So, anything.
hard. Do investors have the fundamental understanding that B2B FinTech is a paradox? Your customers are slow moving, but your investors are moving at the speed of light. There is so much inertia, but you are now split with your customers holding you back and your investors pushing you forward. Do B2B investors understand this?
I think they do. But they are determined. The startups are determined to fix it. The investors are determined to find the startup who thinks they can fix it. I think they know, but I think the allure of finding the one who gets it right is overpowering. And that's the issue. I think they know.
So they get it. They understand most of it will not be. You will be torn apart rather than this inertia letting you go and you are catching out to light speed. You're going to get torn apart, right? How else is this going to work out? Ned, look at the scenario of this. Look at, inertia, right? Like your head is moving at speed of light. Your feet is being dragged back by this client who is not moving. You're going to get torn apart like.
So I'll tell you how to solve it.
Yeah, please.
It's not the answer that people want, but it's the answer I was told by a man who solved it.
Yes.
So obviously, before we shot Bamboo, we tried to sell it, and we had offers on the table. Couldn't get them over the line for a variety of reasons. And I met one gentleman, an amazing gentleman, and he had his startup. It was doing 100 million ARR in WealthTech. Pretty good, right? And great dude. And I was like, what? You have 100 million? He'd been around for 25 years. I said, how did you get to 100 million? You know what he said? He said, yeah, only the first 20 years was brutal. He was barely at 10 million after 20 years. He said after 10 years, he was barely at 1 or 2. You have to find a scrappy way to survive. You have to. We got to 8 years. I think if we had managed to get through 2 more years, we could have found a way, to survive. Bamboo was in a better state when it had more revenue, when it closed, than this guy. Now, this guy has 100 million after 25 years. He said, and it was the way he said it. Honestly, Laksh, he was sitting having a coffee and he was like, yeah, only the first 20 years were brutal. I was like, what? Dude. And what he said is, in those 20 years, you either, again, like an altruist, like Jason has done, has built something that's so crystal clear, but he raised hundreds of millions. He raised hundreds of millions. He was super crystal clear. What Jason was going to do was completely change the custody space for financial. And if you don't know altruists, in America, he has made custody and onboarding completely seamless. Whereas the legacy players have made it painful, he made it easy. But building a clearer and a custody, it's incredibly hard. Or you do what we did. You scrap, you survive, you get a bit of recurring revenue, you build custom, you get a few customers that grow with you, you get to 5 years, 8 years, you get to 10. And he said once he got to 10 million of ARR, things exploded. He's doubling year on year and got all the way through. And I'd like to give you a better answer. There's some magic product to build, but, dig in for 15 or 20 years.
No, absolutely. Is B2B FinTech or WealthTech not the right fit, at least in their initial journey, for investor money?
Yeah, I don't think it's the right fit. I wouldn't put my money into WealthTech.
So
I did put my money in, just to be clear.
You did?
I put my heart, my soul, my everything. And it's not that I wouldn't, because what I would say is I know how hard that is. I think it is 1 in a whatever. You choose the number, opportunity. If you get it right, it's incredible. And this is B2B I'm talking about. Clearly in the B2C streets, it's different. But you very kindly said that Bamboo didn't fail. It did a lot. And quite a few people have echoed that. but it doesn't take a few wrong decisions to suddenly be off path. And I think the opportunity is to get that amazing team to build exactly the right thing at the right time and not be knocked off path just by a little bit, and to make it all the way through and get to the other side. Woo! No joke. I think there's better. I'm sad to say that there's definitely, if you're a pure investor, take your heart away. And I love WealthTech. I mean, I don't have capital right now because I've been through this experience, but when I get capital again, will I probably invest in a WealthTech? Yes. Why? Because I have emotion. But if I was to invest just with my head, we can fix WealthTech and we can make it better. But right now, it's tough to make money in as an investor.
Nah. Not what everybody would have expected to hear. But I think sometimes in life, you don't get what you want, but what you need. Last part of it, what should the ecosystem be doing? There are so many associations, etc., regulators, etc. What is 2 or 3 things they could do to enable entrepreneurs like you to pick up the wealth tech battle again?
Do you mean from an investor perspective?
No, from an association. Investors, we can go down that rabbit hole.
Course.
See, I'll tell you, Ned, I am not a big fan of, if you go to LinkedIn everywhere, people are like, they have to shit all over a VC. Sorry for a lack of a better word. VCs are an easy target. Investors are an easy target. I don't believe in that. You've given them something to think about.
Sure.
Now let's come to the ecosystem. Sure. There are associations, of independent wealth managers, of, banks, of all of these things.
Yep.
It is in their own interest that Ned Philip should rise from the ashes and fight again for B2B WealthTech.
Yep.
Because if you don't, what is the alternate? You're going to go back to the same incumbents that you are trying to escape?
I have another battle to fight. I'll tell you about that.
Yes. What could these guys do?
Sure. I want to start by saying, I benefited a lot. I'm based in Singapore. From Enterprise Singapore to the Singapore FinTech Festival to the Singapore FinTech Association, they gave us opportunities to go up, to meet clients abroad, to go to these festivals. And I think they do an incredible job of that. But in the end of the day, I'm not going to say it's not enough, but it's not enough. It's not enough by the startups. It's not enough by the associations. Not because they don't know if they're doing a lot. What I think they need to do is stop, in a way, almost talking to the startups and go to the institutions. Say, guys, look, if the startups don't survive, you're going to become more legacy every day.
Yep.
We, as an association, we want both things, right? We want our startups to survive, but we need you to help them. Can you all sign up to a commitment? You will never discount a startup. You will never take more than 3 months to sign a document. You will never take more than, again, 3 months to decide whether you're taking it forward. Will you sign up to a code that is good for both people, but it gives these startups who are running on the thinnest of airs, who are breathing through a straw? We need you to, it's not that you've got your finger on top of it on purpose. You don't know you've got your finger on the straw that they're breathing. They've only 2 straws, one for investor money, one for client money, right? And both straws are getting blocked. It's very, very hard to breathe. And I think if the association implored, regulated, I don't know what the right word is. If WealthTech doesn't survive and grow, you're going to become more legacy. And then, in a funny kind of way, and I love the B2C players in Singapore, from the Stashways to the Dallas to the Zives to the Crystals, these guys are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're going to run you over, right? Because they have a bigger straw and they can breathe and they don't need to rely on you. So can we get you? And it's non-negotiable. Because if you don't, you're going to lag behind. We're doing it for you. So they should, because taking a startup and giving them opportunities is fantastic. but they're still going to a bank with a little straw going, oh, can you help me? And it's like, oh, not really. So that's what I do. If I ran an association here and I would go to the top, I'm going to the CEOs of all of them and saying, guys, I'm here to help, but you gotta play ball.
We are going to tag Holly, the president of SFA, and this amazing lady. We've had some chats. Tavishi, Holly, all of these guys. And they want to help.
They're doing. I want to be clear. They're doing so much, but it's the client of B2B. Again, we're talking B2B WealthTech. B2B WealthTech is so unique, so hard, so focused, and the client could almost decide whether they live or die. So I was build a standard. We build a standard. It takes 1 month to onboard. Yes, no. You never, one of the biggest things, never negotiate a startup.
Yeah.
Never.
This has been an amazing discussion. We're not going to let you go because we are now going to, all the discussion we did, we are going to flip the table in part 2.
Let's go.
We are going to make you deliver a 10x digital transformation playbook.
I can do that.
Yes, and we are going to come back for part 2 of this. Ned, this has been an amazing conversation. I think today I can tell you, I feel in 3.5 years of doing this, we have had so many guests, but I feel this episode will have more impact.
Thank you.
Than everything else combined.